December 7th, 2003, 11:30 at night. A 19-year-old gets into a dark green car. Her brother watches from the window. She never comes home. This is the story of LaQuanta Riley. Look, LaQuanta wasn't just smart. She was brilliant, honors student, full scholarship to Alabama State University. Wanted to be a forensic scientist. The kind of kid who actually had a future mapped out. But in December 2003, everything in her life was complicated. She'd been staying in Eufaula for school. But something happened with her roommate. Some kind of disagreement, some kind of falling out. So she packed her stuff and headed back to Montgomery. Back home, where it's supposed to be safe. She's staying with her aunt on N Street. Just temporary. Just until she figures things out. December 7th, Sunday night. Cold. Dark. Around 11:30 p.m., a car pulls up to her aunt's house. Dark green. Ford Taurus, maybe a Caprice. LaQuanta comes outside, gets in. But here's the thing, she's not dressed for going out. She's in casual clothes. Relaxed. Like she's just running a quick errand. The car drives off into the Montgomery night. The car stops at her mother's house on Mobile Street, just a few blocks away. LaQuanta runs inside real quick, grabs a jacket. It's cold out. Her little brother's there. He sees her, asks her the obvious question. Who's that? Who are you with? And LaQuanta, she keeps it vague. Just somebody I met around the street. That's all she says. Around the street. Not a friend. Not a name. Just somebody. She walks back to that dark green car. Gets in. Her brother watches from the window. The taillights disappear down Mobile Street. And that's the last time anyone ever saw LaQuanta Riley alive. 21 years later, her family is still waiting for answers. And honestly, someone out there knows exactly what happened that night. Okay, so LaQuanta doesn't come home that night. And look, she's 19. Adults don't have curfews. Maybe she crashed at a friend's place. Maybe she met up with people. Her aunt's not panicking yet. Monday morning comes. Still no LaQuanta. Monday afternoon. Evening. Okay, now it's getting weird. Tuesday rolls around. Where is she? Her family starts making calls. Hey, have you seen LaQuanta? She with you? When's the last time you talked to her? And everyone's saying the same thing. No, haven't seen her. Haven't heard from her. Now, here's what you need to understand about LaQuanta. This girl was not flaky. She had a full scholarship to Alabama State. She was an honors student studying to be a forensic scientist. You don't maintain that kind of life by just disappearing. Her mom, Stephanie, is calling around too. And with every no she gets, that knot in her stomach gets tighter. Because mothers know. They just know when something's wrong. It's not even Wednesday yet, and Stephanie's already thinking the worst. LaQuanta always checked in, even when they had disagreements, even when things were tense. She'd call, she'd text, she'd let people know where she was. This silence, it's screaming. By Wednesday, they can't pretend anymore. LaQuanta is missing. Like, for real missing. Not, she's probably fine missing. Not, give it another day, missing. She's been gone almost 3 full days now. Stephanie goes to the Montgomery Police Department, files an official missing persons report. And here's where you'd think things would kick into high gear, right? Amber alerts, news coverage, massive search efforts. Yeah, that's not exactly what happened. The police take the report. They start asking the basic questions. When did you last see her? What was she wearing? Who was she with? And that last question, that's the problem. She left with someone in a dark green car, Ford Taurus or Caprice, we think. Okay, who was driving? We don't know. She said it was somebody she met around the street. Around the street. That's it. That's all they have. Not a name. Not a phone number. Not even a good description of the car. Just somebody. And around the street. You know how many dark green cars there are in Montgomery? Police start canvassing the neighborhood. And street where her aunt lives. Mobile Street where her mom lives. Did anyone see this car? Did anyone recognize it? They're knocking on doors. Talking to neighbors. Yeah, I think I saw a green car that night. Nah, I didn't notice anything unusual. Maybe? I'm not sure. Eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable, and right now that's all they've got. Nobody got a plate number. Nobody got a good look at the driver. The car just came and went, and LaQuanta went with it. Her family starts putting up flyers. You've seen them. Everyone's seen them. Black and white photocopies. LaQuanta's smiling face. Missing. Last seen December 7th, 2003. If you have any information, they tape them to telephone poles, store windows, bus stops, all over Montgomery. Her little brother's out there helping. Every time he puts up a flyer, he's remembering that night, watching her walk to that car, not asking more questions. The guilt is already setting in. Christmas is 2 weeks away. Other families are shopping for gifts, decorating trees, making plans. The Riley family is making missing person flyers. December in Montgomery is cold, but not like up north. It's that damp, penetrating cold that gets into your bones. LaQuanta's out there somewhere in that cold. Or maybe she's not out there at all anymore. That's the thought nobody wants to say out loud. But it's there, hanging over everything. Stephanie refuses to think like that. Her daughter is alive. She has to be. They just need to find her. Tips start coming in to the police department. I think I saw her at the gas station on Day Street. Someone matching her description was at the Greyhound station. My cousin said he saw her in Atlanta. Every single tip gets checked out. Police go to the gas station, pull surveillance footage. Not her. Check the bus station. Show her photo around. Nobody recognizes her. The Atlanta lead. Dead end. False sightings. Mistaken identity. People trying to help but getting it wrong. And with every false lead, it's like losing her all over again. But then someone mentions a name. And suddenly, this whole thing has a face. The man who drove that green car, he had a history. And what police found out about him? Yeah, it's not good. So police start really digging now. Who was LaQuanta talking to in those weeks before she disappeared? Who were the new people in her life? She'd just moved back from Eufaula. New environment, new faces. They talked to her friends, her classmates, people from the neighborhood. And one name keeps coming up. A guy, older than LaQuanta. Not from her school. Not in her social circle. Just someone she'd started seeing around. Let's call him D, because legally, police never publicly named him as a suspect. But everyone in Montgomery knew who he was. D was in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. Had a dark green car that matched the description. Ford Taurus or Caprice, depending on who you asked. People had seen them together. LaQuanta and this older dude driving around Montgomery. Not like they were dating or anything serious. More like he was someone she knew casually. Around the street, like she told her brother. Police bring him in for questioning. And here's where his story starts. Dee sits down with detectives. And right away, he admits it. Yeah, I was with LaQuanta that night. December 7th, Sunday, around 11:30 p.m. I picked her up from her aunt's house on N Street. Okay, good. At least he's not denying that part. So what happened next? According to Dee, they just drove around, talked, listened to music, hung out. He says they drove through different parts of Montgomery. Nothing specific, just cruising. And then, he says, he dropped her off, somewhere on the west side of town. She got out of the car, walked away. That was it. Last time he saw her. Detectives press him. Where exactly did you drop her off? What street? What intersection? Was there a house? An apartment complex? What? And here's where Dee's memory gets real fuzzy real fast. I don't remember the exact street. Somewhere over there. West side. It was dark. I wasn't really paying attention. Hold up. You're telling me you dropped a 19-year-old girl off somewhere at midnight. And you don't remember where? Not even vaguely? Not even near the mall? Or by that gas station? Or something? Just west side? Come on, man. The detectives aren't buying it either. They keep pushing. What time did you drop her off? I don't know. Maybe midnight. 12:30. What was she wearing? Casual clothes, I think. A jacket. Did she say where she was going? Nah, she just got out and walked. Which direction did she walk? I don't remember. Did you wait to make sure she got inside somewhere? No, I just left. Every answer is vague. Every detail is fuzzy. For something that happened less than a week ago, this dude's memory is suspiciously terrible. Police run his background. And surprise, surprise, Dee's not exactly an upstanding citizen. He's got a record. Some minor stuff, some not so minor stuff. Nothing violent on paper, but enough to raise eyebrows. They look into his associations, who he hangs with, where he goes. They interview people who know him. And the picture that emerges? Not great. Some people say he's got a temper. Others say he's into some shady stuff. Nobody's outright saying, yeah, he definitely did something to LaQuanta. But nobody's saying, no way, not him either. It's all suspicious. Police get a warrant to search his car. The dark green Ford Taurus. They go over every inch of that vehicle, looking for blood, hair, fibers, anything. They check the trunk, under the seats, the floor mats. They use luminol to check for cleaned up blood. They take samples of everything. And nothing. The car is clean. Too clean, honestly. Like, suspiciously clean for a car that belongs to a dude in his 20s. No fast food wrappers. No random trash. Nothing. Either he's the neatest person alive, or he scrubbed that car down. They search his house next. Same thing. Looking for any evidence that LaQuanta was there. Any sign of a struggle. Any indication that something happened. They check his bedroom, his closets, his bathroom. They're looking for her clothes, her belongings, anything. And again, nothing. No physical evidence tying him to her disappearance. Now, does that mean he's innocent? Or does it mean he's smart? Those are two very different things. Because here's the reality. If you harm someone and you have a few days to clean up before police come knocking, you can get rid of a lot of evidence. Detectives bring him back in, confront him with the inconsistencies. Your story doesn't add up. We know you're lying about something. Dee gets defensive. I told you what happened. I don't know where she went after I dropped her off. They ask him to take a polygraph. He refuses, which legally is his right. You can't force someone to take a lie detector test. But also, if you're innocent, why not take it? Just to clear your name? The refusal makes him look guilty as hell. But looking guilty and being provably guilty, two different things. Here's the problem investigators are facing. They don't have a body. They don't have a crime scene. They don't have physical evidence. All they have is a suspicious story from a suspicious guy. And in the American justice system, you can't charge someone with murder based on suspicion. You need evidence. You need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Without LaQuanta's body, they can't even confirm a crime occurred. Maybe she ran away. Maybe she's alive somewhere. They don't believe that. Her family doesn't believe that. But legally, they can't prove otherwise. Dee lawyers up, stops talking to police. And just like that, the investigation stalls. LaQuanta's family is furious. They know he's lying. They can feel it in their bones. That story about dropping her off somewhere west. Bullshit. Complete bullshit. But what can they do? They can't arrest him themselves. They can't force him to talk. They have to watch him walk around Montgomery, free, living his life, while LaQuanta is missing. Stephanie sees him around town sometimes. Can you even imagine seeing the man you believe took your daughter? And there's nothing you can do about it. No justice, no charges, nothing. Just suspicion hanging in the air. The community is talking though. Word spreads fast in Montgomery. Everyone knows about Dee. Everyone knows he was the last person with LaQuanta. Some people avoid him, won't associate with him. Others, they don't care. They still hang out with him. And Dee, he's not saying anything, not defending himself, not proclaiming his innocence, just staying quiet, which could mean he's guilty, or it could mean his lawyer told him to shut up. Either way, LaQuanta is still gone. And the truth about what happened that night is locked inside someone's head. The question is, will they ever tell it? But this case was about to take a turn nobody expected. Because LaQuanta's disappearance, it was part of a much bigger problem. All right, we need to talk about something uncomfortable. Something that's been sitting under the surface of this whole case. When LaQuanta Riley went missing in December 2003, she wasn't the only one. Montgomery, Alabama had other missing persons cases. Other young women, other black women specifically, who disappeared and barely made the news. And her family, they were starting to notice a pattern. A really disturbing pattern. Let me paint you a picture. It's 2003, late 2003. You know what was dominating the news cycle around that time? Laci Peterson. Remember that case? California. Pregnant woman goes missing on Christmas Eve 2002. Husband Scott Peterson eventually gets convicted of murdering her. That case was everywhere. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, every major network. 24/7 coverage for months. America was obsessed with finding Laci. And look, I'm not saying that case didn't deserve attention. It absolutely did. But here's the thing. While Laci Peterson's face was on every TV screen in America, LaQuanta Riley's face was on photocopied flyers in Montgomery, while national news crews were camped out in California. Local reporters in Alabama barely mentioned LaQuanta's disappearance. One paragraph in the Montgomery Advertiser, maybe a 30-second spot on the local evening news. And then nothing. The media moved on. But LaQuanta was still missing. Her family was still searching. The difference? Laci Peterson was white, suburban, married, pregnant. LaQuanta Riley was black, urban, single, a college student. And apparently, that made all the difference in the world. There's a term for this: missing white woman syndrome. The late Gwen Ifill, legendary journalist, coined it. It describes the media's disproportionate focus on missing persons cases involving young, white middle-class women, while missing women of color, missing indigenous women, missing poor women, they get ignored. Their cases don't generate headlines, don't generate public pressure, don't generate the kind of attention that leads to resources and answers. And LaQuanta's case, textbook example. Her family watched other missing persons cases get national coverage, cases that broke around the same time. And they're thinking, what about my daughter? What about our girl? Why isn't anyone looking for her? Stephanie Riley started connecting with other families, Other mothers in Montgomery who'd lost daughters. Other parents who were searching for answers. And what she discovered was horrifying. There were multiple missing persons cases in Montgomery. Multiple young Black women who'd vanished. Some in the late 90s. Some in the early 2000s. And most of them unsolved. These families were all experiencing the same thing. Initial police investigation. Some searches. A few news mentions. Then silence. Cases going cold because resources dried up. Because media attention faded. Because nobody outside their community seemed to care. Let me give you some context about Montgomery in the early 2000s. This city has a complicated history, right? Birthplace of the civil rights movement. Rosa Parks, MLK. But by 2003, it's dealing with serious crime issues. High poverty rates, gang activity, drug problems. The police department is stretched thin. They're dealing with homicides, armed robberies, violent crimes constantly. Missing persons cases? They get attention, but not unlimited attention. Especially when the missing person is an adult. An adult who, theoretically, could have left voluntarily. So unless there's immediate evidence of foul play, these cases don't get the resources they need. And for families like LaQuanta's, it feels like the system is failing them. Because it is. Here's what makes it even worse. The socioeconomic factor. LaQuanta's family wasn't wealthy. They couldn't hire private investigators. Couldn't offer massive rewards for information. Couldn't afford to take time off work to search full-time. They were working-class people doing everything they could. Printing flyers at Kinko's out of their own pocket. Organizing search parties on weekends. Calling the police department every single day. Any updates? Any new leads? And mostly getting, "We're still investigating." Which translates to, "We don't have anything new." Meanwhile, families with resources, they're hiring search and rescue teams, bringing in forensic experts, getting media consultants. The inequality is staggering. Stephanie becomes an advocate, not just for LaQuanta, but for all the missing. She starts speaking at community meetings, talking about the disparity in how cases are handled, how missing Black women don't get the same attention, don't generate the same public outcry. And she's not wrong. Statistics back her up. Studies show that missing persons cases involving white women receive significantly more media coverage, generate more tips, more resources, more public engagement, while cases involving women of color are often classified as runaways or voluntary disappearances. Even when there's zero evidence to support that, the bias is built into the system. And families like LaQuanta's pay the price. By 2005, LaQuanta has been missing for over a year. The police are still working the case, but leads are scarce. They've re-interviewed Dee multiple times. His story hasn't changed. Still vague, still suspicious. But without new evidence, they can't do anything. They've searched areas around Montgomery, brought in cadaver dogs to check wooded areas, checked abandoned buildings, vacant lots. Nothing. Her family expands the search. They drive to nearby cities, put up flyers in Tuskegee, Prattville, Selma. Maybe someone saw something. Maybe she's being held somewhere. They can't give up hope. Because what's the alternative? Accepting that she's gone? That they'll never find her? That's not an option. The psychological toll on the family is immense. LaQuanta's little brother, the one who saw her leave that night, he's struggling, blaming himself. I should have asked more questions. Should have gotten a better look at the driver. Survivor's guilt, even though he's not a survivor of anything. Just a kid who watched his sister leave. Her mother is barely sleeping. Every phone call could be the one. Every knock on the door could be news. She keeps LaQuanta's room exactly how it was. Clothes still in the closet, books on the shelf, pictures on the wall, waiting for her to come home. It's heartbreaking. The community tries to help. Church groups organize prayer vigils. Local activists keep bringing attention to the case. But as time passes, even community interest starts to fade. People have their own lives, their own problems. LaQuanta's case becomes one of many tragedies. The family feels increasingly isolated, like they're shouting into a void. And maybe, just maybe, people are starting to assume the worst. That LaQuanta isn't coming back. That whoever took her made sure she'd never be found. It's a thought the family refuses to accept. But it's there, lurking, unavoidable. Years are stacking up now. LaQuanta's case is officially cold. The Montgomery Police Department still has it open. But active investigation, that's pretty much done. Unless new evidence emerges, there's nothing to pursue. Dee is still around, still in Montgomery, never been charged, never been arrested, living his life while LaQuanta's family lives in limbo. And here's something that makes this even more twisted. Under Alabama law at the time, without a body, prosecuting a murder case is incredibly difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. You need overwhelming circumstantial evidence. You need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a crime occurred. And they just don't have it. So Dee walks free, even though everyone believes he knows what happened. But Stephanie doesn't stop. She becomes involved in organizations for families of the missing, connects with groups advocating for missing persons of color, shares LaQuanta's story at every opportunity, because she realizes something important. LaQuanta's case isn't just about one missing girl. It's about a system that devalues certain lives, that doesn't give equal effort to finding everyone. And if her daughter's case can shine a light on that, if it can help other families get the attention they deserve, then at least something good comes from this horror. But the years keep passing, and the questions remain. What happened to LaQuanta Riley that night? And why is someone still keeping that secret? Let's jump forward. It's 2010 now. LaQuanta has been missing for 7 years. 7 years. Think about that. 7 years of wondering. 7 years of searching. 7 years of hoping every phone call is someone saying, "We found her." Her family has aged with this tragedy. Stephanie's got gray hair now. Stress will do that. LaQuanta's little brother is in his 20s. The same age LaQuanta was when she disappeared. That's a mindfuck, right there. He's living the life she should have had. And the guilt of that, it never goes away. Technology has changed since 2003. Facebook is huge now. MySpace is dying, but it had its moment. Social media is changing how missing persons cases get publicized. Stephanie creates a Facebook page for LaQuanta, posts updates, shares her story, asks people to share. And it works. Kind of. The page gets a few hundred followers. Some shares. People from Montgomery who remember the case. Some true crime enthusiasts who want to help. But it's still not breaking through to that larger audience. Not getting the kind of viral attention that could generate real leads. Because the algorithm doesn't care about missing Black women. That's just the reality. The police department has changed too. New detectives. New leadership. Some of the original investigators on LaQuanta's case have retired. The case file gets passed down. Each new detective reads through it, looks at the evidence, comes to the same conclusion. Dee is suspicious as hell, but there's no proof. They re-interview him periodically. Want to talk about LaQuanta Riley? I already told you what I know. I got nothing else to say. You sure about that? Last chance to clear your conscience. I'm sure. And that's it. Dead end. Every single time. DNA technology is advancing rapidly in the late 2000s. Forensic genealogy is becoming a thing. Cold cases from the 70s and 80s are getting solved. Jane and John Does are getting identified. Families are finally getting answers after decades. It's revolutionary. LaQuanta's family watches these stories on the news with hope. Maybe this technology can help find their daughter. Maybe there's DNA evidence from 2003 that can be retested. But here's the problem. You need a crime scene for that. You need physical evidence to test. And LaQuanta, no crime scene, no body, no evidence, just a missing girl and a suspicious story. So while these new technologies are solving other cases, they can't help with this one. Stephanie meets mothers whose daughters vanished in the 90s. Still no answers. Still searching. The pain in their eyes, it's familiar. It's the same pain she sees in the mirror every morning. One woman tells her about NamUs, the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, a database that launched in 2009 to help track missing persons and unidentified remains. Stephanie gets LaQuanta entered into the system. Now her information is searchable nationwide. If unidentified remains turn up anywhere in the country, they can be cross-referenced against LaQuanta's profile. Dental records, physical description, DNA if they have it. It's something, a tool that didn't exist in 2003. But it's also terrifying because it forces you to accept the possibility that your loved one might be out there somewhere, deceased, unidentified, waiting to be found. Nearly a decade since LaQuanta disappeared. The Montgomery community does a memorial vigil. Dozens of people show up, light candles, share memories. Some people who knew LaQuanta, some who never met her, but care. They pray, they sing, they cry. Stephanie speaks, talks about her daughter, the bright, ambitious girl who wanted to solve crimes, who wanted to help people, who deserved so much more than this. She makes a plea to the community. If you know something, anything, please come forward. It's been 10 years. Maybe your loyalties have changed. Maybe your conscience is bothering you. Maybe it's time to finally tell the truth. But nobody comes forward. Not that night. Not in the weeks after. The silence continues. Let's talk about D again. Because he's still around. Still in Montgomery. Over the years, police have kept tabs on him, checking if he's had other run-ins with the law. And he has. Minor stuff mostly. Traffic violations. Couple of misdemeanors. Nothing that gives them leverage to press him harder on LaQuanta. But here's what's interesting. People who knew D back in 2003, some of them have moved on. Relationships end. Friendships fade. People drift apart. And sometimes when that happens, secrets come out. Detectives are hoping someone from his circle will talk. An ex-girlfriend, an old friend, someone he might have confided in. Because here's the thing about secrets. They're heavy. They eat at you. And after 10 years, that weight can become unbearable. But nothing breaks. The case stays cold. Tips still come in occasionally. I think I saw someone who looks like LaQuanta at a Walmart in Georgia. My neighbor has a girl living with him who matches the description. I had a dream about where she might be. Every tip gets investigated. Every single one. Even the ones that sound crazy. Because you never know. That one absurd-sounding tip could be the break. But they're all dead ends. Mistaken identity. Unreliable witnesses. People trying to help but getting it wrong. It's exhausting. For the police. For the family. This constant cycle of hope and disappointment. 2015 now. 12 years. LaQuanta would be 31 years old. Should be established in her career. Maybe married. Maybe kids. Instead, she's forever 19 in photographs. forever frozen in that moment before she got into the green car. The family has adapted to living with this absence. Not accepted it. You never accept it. But they've learned to function around the hole she left. They celebrate her birthday every year. October 26th. They get together, share stories, eat her favorite foods, keep her memory alive. Because if they don't, who will? The media forgot about her years ago. The community mostly moved on. Her case is one of hundreds in Montgomery. The family is all she has left. True crime is exploding in the mid-2010s. Podcasts, YouTube channels, Netflix documentaries. Everyone's suddenly interested in unsolved mysteries. Stephanie sees this as an opportunity. She reaches out to podcasters, bloggers, anyone covering cold cases. Will you tell my daughter's story? Some respond, some don't. A few local podcasts cover LaQuanta's case. The story gets shared online, generates some discussion. People on Reddit start theorizing. Dee definitely did it. Why else would his story be so vague? Maybe she really did run away. Maybe she's alive somewhere. Have they checked other states? Maybe she was trafficked. The speculation is both helpful and harmful. Helpful because it keeps the case visible. Harmful because some of the theories are wild and disrespectful. One podcast reaches out to Dee's family, asks if he'll do an interview, tell his side of the story. He declines. His family declines on his behalf. He said everything he's going to say. Leave him alone. Which, fair enough legally. But from a public perception standpoint, it looks bad. Innocent people usually want to clear their names, want to explain themselves, want to be believed. Dee has done none of that. For 12 plus years, he's maintained this silence. Stuck to his vague story about dropping her off somewhere west. Never elaborated. Never showed remorse. Never seemed concerned. And that absence of reaction, it's damning. Not in a legal sense, but in every other sense. 14 years. Stephanie's health is declining. The stress of all this has taken a physical toll. High blood pressure, heart problems, chronic pain. Her doctor tells her she needs to manage her stress. But how do you manage stress when your daughter is missing? When every day is a reminder of what you've lost? When you're still fighting for answers after 14 years? You can't. You just endure. Her family worries about her. What happens if Stephanie dies before LaQuanta is found? Who carries the torch then? Who keeps pushing for answers? It's a dark thought, but it's real. The clock is ticking in more ways than one. Montgomery has changed a lot since 2003. Gentrification, new developments, old neighborhoods torn down, the intramural fields where they searched, different now. The streets where LaQuanta used to walk, repaved, rebuilt. The city is moving forward. But LaQuanta's family is stuck in 2003. December 7th, 11:30 p.m. Watching her get into that green car. That's where they live. Forever. And they'll stay there until they get answers. Until someone tells them what happened. Until they can finally lay her to rest. There's this thing that happens with cold cases. The longer they go unsolved, the more they become stories. Not real. Not about a real person who lived and breathed. Just another unsolved mystery. Another tragic tale. People discuss LaQuanta's case like it's fiction. Debate theories online. Argue about what probably happened. And her family has to watch that. Has to watch strangers dissect their trauma like it's entertainment. Some people are respectful, genuinely want to help. Others, they're just consuming tragedy, getting their fix of real-life horror, then moving on to the next case when this one gets boring. It's dehumanizing. LaQuanta was a person, is a person, maybe, not just a mystery to be solved. By 2018, something shifts in the family. Not giving up. Never that. But adapting their hope, I guess. They're starting to accept that they might never find LaQuanta alive. After 15 years, the chances are almost zero. But they can still find her. They can still bring her home. Give her a proper burial. A place to visit. That becomes the new goal. Not rescue. Recovery. It's heartbreaking. It's realistic. It's what happens when hope gets weathered by time. Stephanie starts talking to organizations that search for remains. Groups that use ground-penetrating radar. Cadaver dogs. Forensic anthropologists. Volunteers who dedicate their time to finding the missing. Maybe they can help. Maybe after all these years, LaQuanta is still out there somewhere, waiting to be found. MD, still in Montgomery. Older now, but still there. Still carrying whatever truth he's carrying. Still silent. The family sees him occasionally. At gas stations. In grocery stores. Around town. And every time, it's like a knife. That man knows something. Everyone believes it. Everyone feels it. But belief isn't evidence. Feeling isn't proof. So, he walks around free. While LaQuanta's family lives in prison. A prison of unanswered questions. Of endless waiting. Of grief that can't even properly grieve. Because how do you grieve someone who's missing? Who might be alive? Who might be dead? Who might be somewhere hoping someone finds her? You can't. You just exist in this horrible limbo. Forever. But then 2020 hit, and everything changed. Not just for this case, but for how America sees missing persons cases altogether. We all remember 2020, right? Pandemic, lockdowns. The world basically stopped. But 2020 was also the year America started having some uncomfortable conversations about race, about justice, about whose lives matter. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. The names kept coming. And in that moment of national reckoning, the conversation expanded. People started asking, who else are we ignoring? Who else are we failing? And missing women of color became part of that conversation. Finally, the hashtag Say Her Name started trending. Originally about Black women killed by police. But it expanded to include missing Black women too. Women whose disappearances barely made the news. Whose cases went cold because nobody cared enough. LaQuanta Riley's name started circulating again. True crime communities on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Young activists sharing her story. Demanding to know why her case went cold. Why Dee was never charged. Why the media ignored her. It wasn't massive. Wasn't national news. But it was something. More attention than LaQuanta had gotten in years. Stephanie, now in her 60s, suddenly has young people reaching out. DMing her on Facebook. Sending messages of support. We won't let your daughter be forgotten. We're sharing her story. We want justice. It's overwhelming. Emotional. After 17 years of screaming into the void, people are finally listening. TikTokers make videos about LaQuanta's case. Some get thousands of views. Some go viral in true crime circles. The algorithm is finally working in her favor. And with that attention comes renewed pressure. Pressure on Montgomery PD. What are you doing about the LaQuanta Riley case? Why hasn't Dee been questioned again? Why is this case still unsolved after 17 years? The police department issues a statement. The LaQuanta Riley case remains open and active. We continue to follow up on any leads we receive. Anyone with information is encouraged to come forward. Standard PR stuff. But behind the scenes, they are feeling the pressure. Cold case detectives pull the file again. Go through everything one more time. Is there anything they missed? Any new technology that could help? any witness they should re-interview. They reach out to Dee again, now in his late 40s. Want to talk about December 7th, 2003? Same answer as always. I already told you everything I know. Frustrating doesn't even begin to describe it. But something interesting is happening. The renewed attention is generating new tips. Not many, but some. People who were teenagers in 2003 are adults now. Maybe they saw something back then, but didn't think it mattered. Maybe they heard someone talking, but didn't know it was relevant. Maybe they were scared to come forward then, but aren't anymore. One tip comes in about a wooded area outside Montgomery. Someone claims they saw Dee's car there multiple times back in 2003 to 2004. Just parked there, in the middle of nowhere. Police organize a search of that area. Bring in cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar. They spend days combing through woods and brush, looking for any sign of human remains. And nothing. Another dead end. But at least they're trying. At least they're still looking. LaQuanta has been missing for 18 years now. Stephanie does an interview with a local news station. They're doing a story on long-term missing persons cases in Alabama. She sits in her living room, surrounded by photos of LaQuanta, and she tells the story again. December 7th, 2003. The green car. The vague story about West Side. She looks directly into the camera. Her voice is tired, but strong. Somebody knows what happened to my daughter. You've been living with this secret for 18 years. Isn't it time to let it go? My daughter deserves to come home. Her family deserves peace. Please, if you know anything, say something. The interview airs, gets shared online, reaches a few thousand people. But the phone doesn't ring. Nobody comes forward. The silence persists. Let's talk about the mental gymnastics Dee must be doing. If he's guilty, if he knows what happened, how do you live with that for 18 years? How do you look at yourself in the mirror? How do you go about your daily life knowing a family is destroyed because of you? Some people are psychopaths. They genuinely don't feel remorse. But most people, they're not wired that way. Most people, even criminals, feel guilt. It manifests in different ways. Substance abuse, relationship problems, mental health issues. Detectives look for these signs in Dee. Has his behavior changed over the years? Has he shown any indication of a guilty conscience? And honestly, it's hard to tell. He's had some legal issues, some personal problems, but nothing that screams, I'm haunted by what I did. Maybe he's really good at compartmentalizing. Or maybe he really doesn't know what happened to her. That's the thing that haunts investigators. What if they're wrong? But then you come back to the facts. He was the last person with her. His story is vague and inconsistent. He refuses to take a polygraph. He refuses to provide more details. He lawyered up immediately. And in 18 years, he's never shown concern about finding LaQuanta. Never participated in searches. Never made appeals for information. Just silence. Innocent people usually want to help. Want to find the missing person. Want to clear their name. Dee has done none of that. So even if there's reasonable doubt legally, there's no doubt in anyone's mind socially. Everyone thinks he did it. Or, at the very least, he knows exactly what happened. And he's chosen to stay silent. By 2022, true crime has exploded even more. Major podcasts are covering cold cases. Netflix and Hulu are doing documentary series. Families of the missing are finally getting platforms. Stephanie is approached by a documentary filmmaker. They want to do a deep dive on LaQuanta's case. Interviews with family. Reconstruction of events. Pressure on suspects. She agrees immediately. Anything that keeps LaQuanta's story alive. anything that might generate new leads. The documentary takes months to produce. They interview family members, friends from 2003, former classmates, community members. They try to interview Dee. He declines. Of course he does. They film outside his house anyway. Not harassing him, just establishing. This is where he lives. This is the man who was last with LaQuanta. And he won't talk. The documentary is set to air in late 2022. But before it does, something happens. A tip comes into Montgomery PD. Anonymous. Through Crime Stoppers. The caller claims to have information about what happened to LaQuanta. Says they heard someone talking about it years ago. Details are vague over the phone. I need to meet with someone in person. I can't talk on the phone. Detectives arrange a meeting, and for the first time in years, the family feels something that's almost like hope. Maybe this is it. Maybe after 19 years, someone's finally ready to talk. Maybe the documentary coming out scared someone, made them realize the case isn't going away. That someone needs to come forward. The meeting is scheduled, and the family waits. Again, always waiting. The detective meets with the tipster. Turns out it's someone who knew Dee back in the day. Not close friends, but they ran in similar circles. And this person claims they heard Dee talking. Not directly admitting anything, but saying things. Weird things. That girl should have just stayed quiet. Sometimes people get what's coming to them. Nobody's gonna find her where she is. The tipster says this was years ago, 2004 or 2005. They didn't think much of it at the time. Figured it was just talk, bravado, whatever. But over the years, it stuck with them. And with all the recent attention on the case, they felt like they had to say something. Is it a confession? No. Is it evidence that would hold up in court? Probably not. But it's something. Detectives confront Dee with this new information. Show up at his door. We've got a witness who says you made statements about LaQuanta. Want to explain that? Dee, now almost 50, looks tired. Older. Weathered. I don't know what you're talking about. People say all kinds of things. Doesn't mean anything. I told you what happened. I dropped her off. That's it. If someone's saying different, they're lying. He refuses to elaborate. Refuses to engage. Same story. Same silence. 19 years running. They can't arrest him based on hearsay from decades ago. Can't charge him with anything. So once again, he walks. And the family is devastated. They thought this was finally it. Finally the break they needed. But no, just another almost. Another close but not quite. Another crushing disappointment. The documentary airs in November 2022. Gets decent viewership. Good reviews. People on social media are talking about it. How is Dee not in prison? This is so obviously a cover-up. Justice for LaQuanta Riley. The attention is good. The family is grateful. But attention doesn't bring LaQuanta home. Doesn't give them answers. Doesn't let them finally grieve properly. Tips come in after the documentary. Most are well-meaning but useless. People who think they saw her somewhere. People with theories but no evidence. One tip mentions an old property outside town. Police search it. Nothing. The cycle continues. Hope. Disappointment. For 19 years and counting. 20 years. 2 decades since LaQuanta got into that green car. The family holds a vigil. Bigger than usual. More people show up. The documentary brought new awareness. Young activists. True crime followers. Community members. They light candles. They share stories. They demand justice. Stephanie speaks again. Now 64 years old. Her voice cracks with emotion. 20 years. My daughter has been gone for 20 years. She was 19. She'd be 39 now. I've missed her entire adult life. I don't even know if she's alive or dead. And someone out there knows. Please, I'm begging you, say something. There's not a dry eye in the crowd. Local news, some regional coverage. It's more attention than LaQuanta's gotten in years. Montgomery PD issues another statement. We remain committed to solving this case. The passage of time doesn't diminish our resolve. We urge anyone with information to come forward. But behind closed doors, detectives are frustrated. They know Dee is involved. They know it. But knowing and proving are different things. And without a confession, without physical evidence, without a body, the legal system requires proof. And after 20 years, that proof might not exist anymore. Even if they found LaQuanta's remains tomorrow, DNA degrades, evidence disappears. Connecting it to Dee would be nearly impossible, unless he confesses. And that seems less likely with every passing year. So here we are, 2024 now, 21 years. LaQuanta Riley is still missing. Her family is still searching. And the truth is still buried somewhere. Maybe in the woods outside Montgomery. Maybe in a location nobody's thought to search. Maybe in the mind of someone who's too scared to talk. Or maybe in the conscience of a man who's decided he'll take it to his grave. But this story isn't over. Because as long as her family is breathing, they're fighting. And there's one more thing you need to know. One final piece that changes everything about how we think about this case. All right, we're 21 years into this. LaQuanta Riley disappeared December 7th, 2003. She got into a dark green car with a man who said he'd give her a ride. That man, Dee, says he dropped her off somewhere on the west side of Montgomery. Nobody's seen her since. No body, no crime scene, no physical evidence. Just a missing girl and a story that doesn't add up. This case probably isn't getting solved. Not in the traditional sense. Not with an arrest, a trial, a conviction. And that's the hardest truth for LaQuanta's family to live with. Let's break down why. First, time. It's been over 2 decades. Memories fade. Witnesses die. Evidence degrades. People who might have known something in 2003, some of them are gone now. Some have moved away. Some have forgotten. The window for solving this case in real time closed years ago. Second, no body. Without remains, you can't prove a murder happened. You can't establish cause of death. Can't determine time of death. Can't link a suspect to a crime scene. Because there is no crime scene. Just a theory about what might have happened. Third, the legal standard. To convict someone of murder, you need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Not suspicion, not gut feeling, not even probability, certainty. And how do you prove someone committed murder when you can't prove anyone died? Some states have convicted people in no-body murder cases, but it's rare. It's difficult. You need overwhelming circumstantial evidence, confessions to multiple people, digital trails, financial records, something concrete that ties the suspect to the disappearance. In LaQuanta's case, they don't have that. They have a guy who was the last person with her, who told a vague story that doesn't make sense, who's been uncooperative for 21 years. But that's not enough for a conviction. So what does that mean for LaQuanta's family? It means they're living in permanent limbo. No arrest means no trial. No trial means no verdict. No verdict means no closure. They can't even properly grieve because there's always that sliver of possibility. What if she's alive somewhere? What if she was trafficked and she's being held? What if she has amnesia and doesn't know who she is? These scenarios are incredibly unlikely, almost impossible, but almost isn't definitely. And that almost keeps the family in this suspended state, unable to move forward, unable to let go, Stuck in December 2003. Stephanie is 65 now. Her health is declining. The stress of 2 decades has taken its toll. Heart problems, high blood pressure, chronic pain. And here's the nightmare she's living with. What if she dies before finding out what happened to LaQuanta? What if she never gets answers? Never finds her daughter's body? Never gets to bury her properly? Never gets justice? That possibility is very real. And it's terrifying. She spent more than half of her adult life searching for her daughter. Missing birthdays, missing holidays, missing life. Because how do you celebrate when your daughter is missing? How do you enjoy anything when that question hangs over everything? You don't. You just exist. LaQuanta's younger brother is in his late 30s now. He has kids of his own. And he thinks about that night constantly. Watching LaQuanta walk to that green car. Not asking more questions. Not getting a better look at the driver. Not stopping her. Logically, he knows he was a kid. He couldn't have known. But guilt isn't logical. He's raising his daughters now. And he's overprotective. Anxious. Because he knows how quickly someone can vanish. How fast your whole world can change. One moment they're there. The next they're gone. And you spend the rest of your life wondering. The community in Montgomery has moved on. Not intentionally. Not cruelly. It's just life keeps going. New tragedies happen. New headlines emerge. People have their own problems to deal with. LaQuanta's case is old news. Except to the people who loved her. To them, it's happening right now. Every single day is December 7th, 2003. Every single day, they're waiting for her to come home. There's a psychological term for this. Ambiguous loss. Loss without closure. When someone is physically absent, but psychologically present. You can't grieve them because they might be alive. You can't move on because there are no answers. It's one of the most painful types of loss a human can experience. And LaQuanta's family has been living it for 21 years. Let's talk about D one more time. Because if he's guilty, if he did something to LaQuanta, he's gotten away with it. 21 years free. Living his life. While a family suffers. While a woman's life was cut short. While justice remains unserved. That's the reality. The bad guy might win this one. And that's hard to accept. We want to believe justice always prevails. That the truth always comes out. That good triumphs over evil. But sometimes, it doesn't. Sometimes people get away with terrible things. Sometimes cases go cold and stay cold. Sometimes families never get answers. And that's the worst part of true crime nobody talks about. Not every story has a resolution. If D is innocent, if he really doesn't know what happened, then this whole thing is even more tragic. Because it means LaQuanta got out of his car that night, walked into the darkness, and encountered someone else. Someone who hurt her. Someone who's been hiding in plain sight for 21 years. While everyone focused on D. But honestly, that scenario seems unlikely. Too coincidental. Too convenient. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. And the simplest explanation is, D knows what happened, whether he did it himself or knows who did. He has answers. And he's chosen silence. So where does that leave us? The case is still technically open. Montgomery PD still accepts tips. The family still searches. Social media still shares her story periodically. But realistically, without a major break, this case stays unsolved. What would constitute a major break? A confession. That's number one. If D or someone else finally talks. Finding remains. That's number two. If someone stumbles upon LaQuanta's body, or a witness coming forward with concrete information, something that can be verified and investigated. But after 21 years, these scenarios become less likely every day. People die. Evidence disappears. Memories fade. The window closes more with every passing year. Here's what kills me about cases like this. Someone knows. Someone always knows. Maybe it's Dee. Maybe it's a friend, he told. Maybe it's someone who saw something that night. Maybe it's someone who helped cover it up. But somewhere in Montgomery, Alabama, someone has the answers LaQuanta's family has been searching for. And they're keeping quiet because they're scared, because they're loyal, because they don't want to get involved. Whatever the reason, their silence is causing ongoing pain. Every day they don't come forward is another day of torture for this family. And they have to live with that. They have to look at themselves in the mirror, knowing they could end this suffering, and choosing not to. Let me tell you what Stephanie said in a recent interview. I don't even need justice anymore. I just want to know what happened. I just want to find my daughter. I want to bring her home. I want to bury her properly. I want to be able to visit her grave. That's all I'm asking for. Not revenge, not punishment, not even a trial. Just information, just the truth, just the basic human dignity of knowing what happened to her child. And after 21 years, she still can't have that because someone, somewhere, is holding that truth hostage. Think about that. The simple act of telling the truth could give this family peace. And someone's choosing not to do it. The ripple effects of LaQuanta's disappearance are enormous. Her younger siblings grew up in a house haunted by absence. Her mother aged prematurely under the weight of grief and stress. Her extended family lives with constant pain. Her friends from 2003 never got closure. Some of them still think about her, still wonder. The community lost a bright, ambitious young woman, someone who wanted to be a forensic scientist, who wanted to solve crimes and help people. The irony is devastating. She wanted to bring justice to others, and she never got justice herself. She wanted to solve mysteries, and became one. Let's zoom out for a second, because LaQuanta's case is part of a bigger problem. There are thousands of missing persons cases in America, thousands of families living this same nightmare, and a disproportionate number of them involve women of color, Black women, Indigenous women, Latina women. Their cases don't get the media attention, don't generate the public pressure, don't get the resources. So they go cold faster, stay cold longer, and families suffer in silence. LaQuanta's case got some attention because her family fought for it, because they refused to let her be forgotten, because they kept pushing and advocating and demanding answers. But so many families don't have that capacity, don't have the time or resources or energy, and their loved ones disappear into statistical obscurity. The system is broken. Let's just say it plainly. The way America handles missing persons cases, especially for marginalized communities, is broken. Police departments are underfunded and overworked. Cold case units are understaffed. Media decides whose stories are newsworthy based on biased criteria. Public attention follows media coverage. Resources follow public attention. And if you're a young Black woman who disappears, you're starting from behind. Your case is already fighting an uphill battle. Not because detectives don't care. Many of them do. They genuinely want to solve these cases. But because the systems and structures don't support solving them equitably. LaQuanta deserved better. Every missing person deserves better. So what can actually be done? Realistically, for LaQuanta's case specifically, we need someone to talk. If you're in Montgomery and you know something, anything, call the police. Call Crime Stoppers. Send an anonymous tip. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to testify. Just provide information that can be investigated. Tell them where to look. Tell them what you heard. Tell them what you know. More broadly, for cases like LaQuanta's, we need systemic change. Better funding for cold case investigations. More equitable media coverage of missing persons. Improved DNA databases and identification technologies. Public pressure on unsolved cases. And we need to keep saying their names. Keep sharing their stories. Keep demanding answers. Because the only way cold cases get solved is when people refuse to forget. LaQuanta Riley was 19 years old. She had dreams, plans, a future. She wanted to be a forensic scientist, wanted to help solve crimes, wanted to make a difference. She was an honors student with a full scholarship. She was smart, ambitious, driven. She was someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend. She was a person, not a statistic, not a cold case number. A person who deserved to live her life. And on December 7th, 2003, someone took that from her. Someone decided their wants, their urges, their convenience was more important than her life. And that person has lived free for 21 years, while LaQuanta's family lives in hell. I want to speak directly to whoever knows what happened, because I know you're out there. You've been carrying this for over 2 decades. That's a long time to live with a secret this heavy. A long time to watch a family suffer. A long time to see missing person posts and vigils and pleas for information. Knowing you could end it all. How much does that weigh on you? Does it keep you up at night? Does it creep into your thoughts when you're with your own family? Does it hit you when you're driving past places that remind you? Because I promise you it's affecting you. Secrets like this don't stay buried. They fester. They poison. They eat away at you from the inside. And eventually they come out. Why not let it out now? Why not do the right thing? You can do it anonymously. You can protect yourself. Just tell someone where LaQuanta is. Let her family finally have peace. And to LaQuanta's family, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I'm sorry you've had to fight this hard for this long. I'm sorry the media ignored you. I'm sorry you've had to live with this pain for 21 years. You deserved better. LaQuanta deserved better. Your strength is remarkable. Your refusal to give up is inspiring. And your love for LaQuanta shines through everything you do. She knew she was loved. I hope you remember that. Whatever happened that night, her last memory of home was knowing she had a family who cared about her. And that family has never stopped fighting for her. That means something, even if it doesn't bring her back. Even if you never get the answers you deserve. Your love matters. Your fight matters. She matters. LaQuanta Riley. Say her name. Remember it. Share her story.